AI is transforming the way we approach everyday tasks in work and in life. Using AI can help you get routine things done more quickly and empower you to spend more time in places where you can have the most impact. Think about your typical day at work. If it's anything like mine, you have a lot of things to do and not enough time. Some of the days your to-do list might seem never-ending. But what if AI could help? As a fellow project manager, I'm here to share a few situations you may encounter where generative AI, or Gen AI, can help you work smarter and faster, and I'll show you how to do it. You'll discover how to use Gen AI to help write a project charter, run effective meetings, and more. My name is Ben, and I'm a staff program manager on the Google Cloud team. In my role, I've delivered many projects like cloud networking features and training for all of the thousands of program managers at Google. Generative AI helps me work more efficiently and creatively, so I'm excited to share how I'm using it. To get the most out of AI, it's important to write an effective prompt. A prompt is the input you provide to the Gen AI model to elicit a specific response. A good prompt follows a simple framework: task, context, references, evaluate, and iterate, or TCREI. If you ever forget a step, just remember: thoughtfully create really excellent inputs. First is task. What do you want the model to do? Fairly simple and straightforward, right? We can break task into persona and format. Persona refers to what expertise you want the generative AI tool to draw from. You can ask the tool to take on a persona, like a professional speechwriter or a marketing executive with 15 years of experience. Or you can ask it to create output for a specific audience, like a customer or even your manager. You can be as detailed as you like when adding a persona to your task. Format refers to how you want the output to appear, whether it's a bulleted list, short sentences, or a table. Next, you'll include context. These are the necessary details to help the Gen AI tool understand what you need from it. This is the difference between writing, "Give me some ideas for a birthday present under $30, and "Give me 5 ideas for a birthday present. My budget is $30. The gift is for a 29-year-old who loves winter sports and has recently switched from snowboarding to skiing." Third, sometimes you'll add references for the Gen AI tool to use while creating its output. You just asked a Gen AI tool to give you ideas for a birthday present, right? Well, if you add examples of birthday presents you've given in the past as references, then the Gen AI tool can give you a more useful output. Keep in mind, there aren't always going to be clear references of what you need, especially if you're working on something more abstract or searching for ideas and inspiration. Prompting is all about being clear and specific in your instructions. Use natural language. Write as if you're speaking to another person, and express complete thoughts. Okay, so you've included the task, context, and references in your prompt. Once you have the output, it's time to evaluate. Ask yourself if the input you provided gave you the output you needed. This leads us to the final part of the framework: iterate. If you evaluate your output and determine you're not getting what you need, you can try again by adding more information or tweaking your prompt. This is a key part of prompting effectively. One more note on the framework: there are plenty of ways to construct an effective prompt. Remember, it's okay to start with a simple prompt, and sometimes that's all you need. However, if you want to unlock the true potential of AI, the secret isn't magic, it's good prompts. Consider thoughtfully creating really excellent inputs and watch the magic happen. As we explore how to use Gen AI in project management, keep in mind that Gen AI works best when used as a complement to our uniquely human skills and abilities. You should always use it responsibly by applying a human-in-the-loop approach. Gen AI is a useful tool to help you accomplish tasks, but it requires human involvement. No tool has the depth of experience, practical knowledge, and interactive skills that we do. That's why a human-in-the-loop approach is key to using Gen AI responsibly. It combines machine and human intelligence to train, use, verify, and refine results. In practical terms, this means being mindful of what you put in a GenAI tool and always evaluating and verifying what comes out. When you work with GenAI tools, carefully consider if you need to use confidential or sensitive information to perform your task, and always consult your organization's rules or policies first. Even when you're using these tools outside of work, you should avoid entering personal or confidential information and always check how the data you enter might be used. One last thing, there are a lot of GenAI tools out there. I'm going to demonstrate how to prompt using Gemini, but all the techniques and best practices you'll learn can be applied to other GenAI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, or Claude. If you're an aspiring project manager, your passion might lie in leading teams, navigating challenges, and delivering successful projects. But especially in complex projects, you might be slowed down by administrative tasks, documentation, or chasing down updates. Generative AI is changing how we approach these responsibilities, which allows project managers to spend more time on strategic decision-making and ensuring the overall success of the project and the team. So let's get started. Imagine you want to build a house. Your first step likely wouldn't be picking up a hammer and nails. First, you'd plan things out. You'd set a budget, you'd review blueprints, and you'd know what you want the house to look like when it's all done. Building a project follows the same structure. In this case, the plans are called a project charter. As you've learned, a project charter is a formal document that clearly defines the project and outlines the necessary details to reach the project's goals. GenAI tools can help you build a great project charter and save you time. Let's go ahead and give it a try. To start, my prompt could say something like, act as a project manager and build a project charter that includes the information below. Add placeholders for any missing information. For this example, I have details about my project in a different document, including a description of the project, the business need, deliverables, the project stakeholders, and the success criteria. I'm going to copy and paste this information into Gemini to give more detail to my prompt. Including details like these in my prompt is important. I'm not just typing in a request, I'm also supplying critical information for Gemini to respond to. In this case, it's information about my planned project. And here we go. This project charter from Gemini gives me a good starting point. There's still work to do. Many of these bullets should be expanded into full sentences, and there's more detail that I need to add in. But I'm off to a great start. Remember, the more information I give Gemini to begin with, the more complete it can make the project charter. But this output gives me a solid place to start from. Here are a few things to keep in mind as you build a project charter with help from a GenAI tool. First, GenAI can create a lot of content very quickly and in different formats. This can be really useful as a project manager when you need to create documentation like a project charter. Second, if you have an existing template for project charters that you like, you can share it with Gemini. Or you can provide Gemini with guidance about the format of the project charter you'd like to see. For example, you can specify the number of pages or sections that you want to be included. Remember, read responses closely. If you just skim the output, it might look good, but it might actually include something you didn't intend. GenAI may be doing the heavy lifting, but you still need to do the heavy thinking here. Remember the prompt framework we discussed earlier? Here's where the E for evaluate comes into play. Also, you can experiment with different prompts by changing the wording and formatting. This experimentation will go a long way towards improving the outputs and giving you more options to work with. Be willing to try again and be deliberate with your instructions. This is the I in our framework for iterate, which is the process of refining and improving your AI prompts and outputs through repeated cycles of testing and adjustment. You can refine or vary the prompt to get the most accurate and useful results, and to find out if you can get other responses that you prefer. On that note, let's take a moment to dig a bit deeper into iteration. A few tips. When you evaluate your prompt, Did you find any areas where the output didn't align to your expectations? If so, there may be opportunities to provide the AI tool with more specific guidance about what you need. Remember, an AI tool can only provide results based on what you tell it to do, so make sure your prompt has enough detail to get a useful response. Or think back to the R in our prompting framework, references. Can you share an example of what you're expecting? Providing examples in your prompts can help the AI tool understand what you want. If you're hoping to find a specific format or type of analysis, show the AI tool an example. Another thing you can do is check your phrasing. Were you as clear as possible? Try breaking your instructions into shorter sentences. This can help you improve the output next time. Are there parts of the output that you did like? For example, imagine the AI tool gave you 5 ideas for a brainstorm and you liked 2 of them. In your next prompt, explain why you like those 2 and ask the AI tool to provide a new list of ideas based on your reasoning. You could even point out why you didn't like the other 3 ideas and ask the tool to take that into account for the next time around. So, let's think back on our example. Using Gemini to help write a project charter, how could we iterate in this particular scenario? One way might be to ask a follow-up prompt to get Gemini to use less technical language. Or I could ask Gemini to shorten or lengthen particular sections. Or I could ask Gemini to help make the project charter more complete. For example, I could ask if any important information is missing from what we originally provided that would create a stronger project charter. It might take some practice to get results you're happy with. Playing and experimenting with prompts is the best way to figure out how to get results that are useful for you. Getting the output you want can sometimes take a few steps, and the only way to get there is to get comfortable, explore, and learn what path works for you. Go ahead and try creating a project charter of your own. It won't surprise you to learn that every project has risks, potential events that could occur and impact the project's outcome. A risk can cause a positive or negative effect on one or more of the project objectives, such as scope, schedule, cost, or quality. In any project, you won't be able to completely eliminate all of these risks. But as a project manager, you'll be much better off if you're clear about what the risks are and which ones you need to prioritize, so you can figure out how to mitigate them. Your project charter might only list a few of your project risks. A Gen AI tool like Gemini can help generate a more detailed set of possible risks so that you can be well prepared as a project manager. For this example, let's imagine we're building a wellness app for dogs. We'll set the stage by inputting a scenario into Gemini and providing a few details about the project. Let's try entering a prompt like this. I'm a project manager overseeing the development of a dog wellness app. We are a mid-sized company offering dog walking, training, and pet supplies. Please review the following project details and identify only major risks that could affect the project timeline or budget. Now let's give lots of context about our project. We could copy and paste information from a project charter like this. Keep in mind that some Gen AI tools like Gemini Advanced allow you to upload documents directly. This means you could upload a project charter right into the tool rather than copying and pasting the information like I just did. Aha! Let's check out the output from Gemini. It's exciting to get this large list of potential risks. I might not have thought of all of these. At the same time, some of these risks are general and might not apply if we'd given Gemini more details about our project. Generally speaking, the more information you can share in your prompt, the better Gen AI tools will work. For example, we could try adding details to our prompt about the risks we've encountered on previous projects, or risks we've already identified for this project, and see if it improves the output. Here are a few things to keep in mind when a Gen AI tool is helping you discover potential risks. Generative AI tools are great at helping with brainstorming. One way of putting it to work for you is to not only ask it to help you identify things that can help your project run better, but also what could go wrong. In addition, Gen AI tools are quick at generating content in text. Challenge it to generate what you want, and ask it to reformat it in different ways until you find what works best for you and the team. Of course, getting a long list of risks is helpful, but it may not always contain items that are relevant for your project or your team's needs, and it may miss key areas. This is where you need to carefully review the list and use your own judgment. Finally, as your project develops and you identify new risks, you can come back to Gemini with these specifics and brainstorm mitigation plans. Just like humans, GenAI can't prevent risks from becoming problems that derail your project. But tools like Gemini can help you get ahead of those risks, and that's essential to being an effective project manager. Even with the best laid plans, a great project charter, and a thorough awareness of the risks, your project won't succeed without one crucial ingredient: good communication. There are lots of ways a GenAI tool can help with project communication. Let's start at a high level. GenAI can help generate a list of the communications you might need to keep a project running smoothly. These might include status reports, stakeholder updates, and more. Let me show you. For this example, I could prompt Gemini with something like, given the project charter, which includes the following information, please share a summary in a table form of the most important communications I should prepare during the project and indicate both the type of communication and stakeholder. And just like before, I'm going to copy and paste information from a project charter like this. Okay. Gemini created a detailed table that will help me keep all of the project communications well organized and keep me from forgetting something important. This table is a helpful guide to make sure I'm effectively engaging the right stakeholders so I can manage their expectations and keep the project on track. If you want to use GenAI to help you with stakeholder communications, here are a few things to keep in mind. GenAI tools can provide different formats in the output, like a table or a list of bullets. So specify the format you want in your prompt, just like we asked for in the table here. Your company may have standard templates and methods around communication and norms around who should be involved in receiving different pieces of information. Remember, you have a big role to play here in determining how to manage that communication, but a GenAI tool can give you a helpful starting point. And always review your company's policy before including sensitive or confidential information in your prompt, like the names of individuals, and avoid entering this kind of information whenever possible. After you create a stakeholder communications plan, you can keep using GenAI to bring those communications to life. For example, a GenAI tool like Gemini can help you write the first draft of a status email to senior sponsors of the project. Using a GenAI tool to create drafts of communications can really help you save time. So, try it out for yourself and see what you come up with. In many companies and teams, you spend a lot of time preparing for and attending meetings. For sure, meetings can be important for moving work along, but if not managed well, they can also be frustrating. And what happens after a meeting is often the most important part. We've all been there. You have a great conversation while you're meeting live with your project team, but after the meeting, when you all go your separate ways, it's not clear what each person should do next. Well, GenAI tools can help make your meetings more productive and organize the follow-through afterwards. Let's focus on a scenario I often find myself in at work. I need to generate a meeting summary and capture action items so that my team can act on what we discussed in the meeting. I could write a prompt like this. Summarize the following meeting notes in a succinct 2-paragraph email that identifies the key points and action items. Include a friendly opening line and warm sign-off. Now I'm going to open my notes, copy them, and drop them into the prompt. This is pretty cool. It took my somewhat disorganized meeting notes and created a clear summary with action items. As a project manager, this is really powerful because action items are often lost among the notes and can cause a real problem if they're missed. A couple of things to keep in mind so that GenAI can help you run more effective meetings. First, GenAI can't read your mind. Meeting notes are often sparse, so you need to make sure your meeting notes are complete enough to be able to capture everything that's important. If you have challenges capturing good notes, there are even features in some video conferencing software that allows you to get a transcription of the meeting. Second, remember to specify the format that you need in order to match your communication objectives. In this case, I wanted to send a short summary via email to people that were in the meeting. But imagine if a few people weren't able to attend the meeting. In that case, I may want to ask Gemini to create a longer recap so they can get fully up to speed about what they missed. Who doesn't love more productive and efficient meetings? Take a moment to identify a meeting that you have coming up on your calendar and try it out. How often have you done something, like tried a new recipe or taken on a home improvement project, and afterwards thought, I wish I would have known that before I started? You might make a mental note or jot a reminder down about how you do it differently next time. It's the same with project management. Reviewing what went well and what didn't makes the next project run even more smoothly. Retrospectives are valuable for any project management process you're running because they provide an opportunity to get honest feedback in a timely manner, and that feedback can help guide your next sprint and future work. When it comes time to plan your next retrospective, GenAI can help. Share clear and specific details about your project and ask a tool like Gemini to help come up with ideas for questions that you can ask during the meeting. Let me show you a prompt I might use. Up until now, I've been typing prompts into Gemini. But here's a pro tip. You can also activate the microphone feature. This lets you quickly add more information, start a new prompt, or iterate on an existing prompt, all using your voice. So, for example, I could use the microphone feature to speak this prompt to Gemini. I am a project manager preparing to lead a 1-hour retrospective for my team about the project we just completed. The project involved a community fundraising event for a local school with businesses and nonprofits from the area. Share a robust question bank that will spark participation in the meeting and guide our discussion to uncover what went well and what could be improved next time. Gemini has provided many potential questions here. This is a great starting place to work from. With a limited amount of time and a large group of people in the meeting, I would want to prioritize and select the most relevant questions from this list that align with my specific team and project goals. You can consider these factors when narrowing down your choices: relevance, impact, engagement, and time allotted. A few more things to keep in mind when GenAI is helping you prepare for a sprint retrospective. Be sure to add cultural and personal aspects into this time of retrospective. For example, to begin a meeting like this, I would usually start by thanking the team for their great work on bringing the program together. And I might want to update the icebreaker to align with my team culture. Lastly, many people participating in retrospectives are not aware of the purpose of this type of meeting. It could be helpful to briefly explain the purpose of the meeting up front. A sprint retrospective gives you and your team a chance to discuss what worked well and what could be improved. When you use GenAI to help you prepare, you can focus on the unique concepts and insights only you can bring, instead of worrying about the time-consuming logistics. Just like any new technology, we all need to try, test, and play in order to learn how to use GenAI. I really enjoyed being able to share some of the ways I'm using GenAI in my work as a project manager, from helping to write a project charter to making meetings more productive. I hope this can help you start to use GenAI in your role. My challenge for you: think about the work you're already doing. Is there something that's taking a lot of time? A project where you need ideas to get started? Commit to experimenting with GenAI for something that will make a real difference to you and your work. Coordinating projects across multiple teams can sometimes feel like herding cats. Different timelines, scattered information, and endless email threads. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. But what if there was a solution that can simplify the chaos, boost productivity, and keep everyone in sync? That's where a team library or knowledge base can help. In my own work here at Google, I wondered if there was a way that people outside my team could get answers to their most common questions. In the past, we had someone take a lot of time to build an internal website, put all of our documents there, and write additional pages like FAQs. Now, with NotebookLM, we can do away with that overhead and have a simpler way to answer these most common questions. If you don't know what NotebookLM is, let's start there. Think of it as a GenAI chat tool that is based primarily on the documents you provide it with. You can share documents or information and then ask questions based on that set of information. We call that grounding because the responses will be based on the source material you have shared. It's a powerful tool for research, knowledge, organization, and content generation. Let me show you what I mean. First, you can load NotebookLM with your team's project documents. All the specs, design plans, timing docs, you name it. NotebookLM will base its answers on these specifics. When you let your colleagues know that this resource is available, it's helpful to share some examples of prompts they can use. For example, they could ask, who is responsible for X? What is the timeline and budget for Y part of the project? Who signed off on the project charter and when? What web environment are we using to host our site? And more. Think of the questions that your colleagues most frequently ask you and share sample prompts to help address those questions. NotebookLM will respond with clear, well-written answers using your content as a reference. Its responses will also include highlighted numbers, which you can click on like this. Then it will show the exact text that it's drawing its answers from, such as a footnote reference. That way, if someone needs more information, they'll be able to quickly check the actual source document. This system is really powerful when there's a lot of documentation or complexity. NotebookLM can answer both the most basic and the most complex questions. Here are a few things to keep in mind when GenAI is helping you create a team library. First, it's awesome. With a tiny bit of work, you can create your project's own dedicated resource that can answer many of the team's questions. What a time saver! And it makes it super easy for me to find and reference things about the project as well. Second, the data you add will not be used to train NotebookLM. Think about the other ways to apply this tool too, maybe for detailed research on other topics. But remember, the data is only as good as the input, or what you're supplying. So make sure the documents you include have the most up-to-date information. Also, monitor who is adding what to the notebook. Focus on the documents with the most solid data that are changing the least to make sure the responses are accurate. There are so many ways that NotebookLM can help, from creating meeting agendas to writing recaps that include next steps and action items. Many project managers dream of having this type of expert ready to help them with answering the dozens of questions that come their way. Now your dreams have come true. Go try it out and see how much time and overhead it can save you and your team.